Okay, so this has been requested by numerous people, and again, I've shared it with some people in the past. I've sent Loom videos. Obviously, it's what we use for our brands internally and when we're auditing brands, all that good stuff. So I'm giving this away for you today. So if you click the link below, you can obviously just access this, get this. You can obviously tweak this in terms of how you want to. This will basically give you a good template overview in terms of forecasting how TikTok Shop is going to look for you and your brand. So I'm just gonna make this a little bit bigger so hopefully everyone can see this. That's probably too big. Let's just go 110, because and this is why I always say people kind of don't understand in terms of how TikTok Shop can actually have such a massive impact on your business. Because again, I feel like when a lot of brands kind of go into TikTok Shop, they don't see the bigger picture. They just look month one or maybe day one, and maybe as far as maybe 90 days, and then they kind of say, well, we're losing money here, then this is just a write-off. Where again, if you kind of look at it like this and break it down, it makes it a whole lot clearer. So again, don't hold me by these numbers. This is just a dummy forecast in terms of the data I've kind of put into this, but I'm going to show you in terms of how we kind of calculate, how we kind of figure it out. And again, it's going to depend brand to brand, category to category, but it gives you a nice overview in terms of how this looks. And again, there's also a link below if you want to jump on a call with us and we can run through this actual forecast with you to make sure it makes sense before you jump into TikTok Shop. Because again, too many people are jumping in TikTok Shop and it's not working for you because you're not doing the fundamentals. Fundamental, people think it's just getting set up and running, but you need to kind of take a step back, look at the actual economics that kind of goes into making it effective. So with that being said, I'm just going to run through in terms of how this looks. So again, first line, row 9, simple months, okay? Plan out 12 months, okay? You want to, I would say, at least give it TikTok 6 months, but again, if you look at the 12 months, you kind of get a bigger picture. And again, I'll show you this now before we kind of break into this. So again, once you look at your total forecast for the whole month, it paints a good picture. Once you look at your ROAS for the first 3 months and your marketing costs, it looks pretty bleak, okay? But when you look at the bigger picture and think, okay, look, I'm going to be spending nearly 20K in ad spend just based on marketing costs, just based on what we've got currently in here so far. That looks horrible because in that period of time, I'm only making 14K. So it doesn't take a mathematician to understand that you are making a loss of that. And again, that's why we kind of have this ROAS calculator in here. So again, you kind of see what this looks to be. So that's just a quick overview, but let's get into the actual numbers in terms of how I break this down. So first up here, we've got your full on forecast revenue numbers, your TikTok costs in terms of obviously what you're going to pay in TikTok, your overall marketing cost, and your estimate gross profit. This is basically the main number you want to kind of focus on. If this is looking like this, then again, I'm going to keep spending on TikTok Shop. With that being the case, we have, like I say, our months. We have our monthly volume. Apologies, a fly just flew past me. This here. So again, be conservative in terms of when you start. So again, I would say to a brand when getting started, you want to be hitting at least 100 to 150 sales in that first month. So let's just do 100 just to kind of keep it conservative. Again, it depends on category to category. Some categories we blitz past that quite easily. Some categories is a little harder. So I'll give you 2 examples. Health category, if you go into the health category, not spending on retainers, not spending on creators, you're going to find it hard to get to 100 sales. If you're in maybe the kitchen space and you don't need to spend on creators, just pay a good commission, you'll probably get to this pretty easily, okay? So I would say to begin with, 100 is kind of the sweet spot. And again, there's other methods that you can kind of do to kind of get to that, whether it's like a email or SMS blast to your current customers, subscribers, that side of things. Or again, like I say, just running ads very aggressively. Here we've got about 50% of our GMVs basically going into ads. So again, there are ways of doing it, but 100 is the kind of sweet spot. Again, if you want to make that number smaller, you can do that. But again, it's just kind of give you an idea. So 100 is the number, but again, I'm just going to go, yeah, in fact, we keep 100 just to kind of say keep it as conservative as possible. And what I say with this is always on the low end. Again, when we've kind of worked with brands, some might be low here to begin with, but then by the time it gets to month 3 or 4, it kind of takes off. So again, it just gives you an idea. And then again, as a brand or even as an agency, what you want to be doing on a month-on-month basis, putting the actuals in, put the actuals in terms of what you've got each month. So again, you can compare, contrast, see what you need to change and tweak going forward. So enough of that. Let's go into a bit more. So again, so you've got your monthly order number, which again, I'll kind of show you in terms of how we work that out, in terms of obviously how the growth begins on that. Your AOV, so again, your AOV, you want to calculate this based on probably just data you've got, maybe Amazon or Shopify, or if you're already running a TikTok Shop, you'll get an idea in terms of what that looks like to begin with. Your GMV, that's easy, just calculated by your monthly order volume times by your AOV. Your commission, so again, this is going to be something you need to import itself. There's a way obviously we can change it, but again, this basically just here, I put average creator commission 12% going down to 8%. So again, as you see here, 12%. I think in this equation here, it goes all the way down to 8% in casually. So again, we always forecast in terms of starting higher and going lower. But again, if you want to keep it simple, you can maybe just do this at just, I don't know, 10% just to keep it conservative for all of it, and then just keep it like that. But again, like I say, if you want to get a bit more granular into it in terms of what we do, because we kind of know in terms of trends and how it works, then again, you can do that. But let's just say keep it at 10% just to keep it like that there. And then obviously TikTok commission. So again, obviously this is in USD, this is in dollars. So that's obviously what you pay to TikTok shop in the US. But again, obviously if you're in Europe, if you're in UK, just change this to whether it's at 9% or I can't remember what the European 9 is, not what the cost is there. And you can also change these to the relevant currency as well from that side of things there as well. So now we're going into a little bit more depth in terms of what's here. So that's just obviously going to break down the 6% based on obviously your sales numbers. And then here you've got, for example, your platform cost. So again, your TikTok shop commission plus your creator commission. So that's the platform cost. With that, you have your sales numbers. So again, obviously this breaks down basically just your GMV, take away your actual platform cost, which is that there. And then here you have your sample total. So again, how many samples you want to send out per month. So again, based on this here, just even a smaller brand, maybe 50 samples per week equals 200 per month. So again, give you an idea, your sample cost up here. So whether you're just doing your hero product and sample 2, you can do that. But again, maybe you just want to start with 1 sample, so there'll be no sample 2, drops it down. And then how this works here in terms of how many samples, it's just percentage. So again, 80% are going to your main sample and 20% to your second product. So again, depending on what your strategy is, again, we can go into more depth on that later on. That's kind of how it works. So just while we keep it simple, we'll keep both of them in there just to make it, oops, that's a little bit high now. Just to keep it making sense, we've got that there, 5. So in this instance here, we want to spend 80% of our time sending our 80% samples on our hero product, and then 20% of the samples are going to go to the sample 2, which is basically the kind of next product we want to kind of focus on. And the reason why we do this sometimes, again, if hero 1 doesn't necessarily take off, at least you've got something backing it up and you don't have to be kind of starting, and then if it doesn't work, then starting from scratch, at least you kind of got it kind of running alongside that one there. So that's how that looks. This obviously totals your overall sample cost, because again, obviously sample 1 and 2, that's the overall cost. Here, this number, again, you could be as bold or as little as you want to. So again, depending on your brand, this is going to be for your creator. If you want to start paying creators incentives or incentives or retainers, have a number in here. And again, category to category, and depending on obviously what your goals are, how aggressive you want to be, that number will vary from brand to brand. So in this instance, I'm just going to put 0 because again, some brands maybe not needing the budget to do that. So let's just do that as 0. So again, maybe you want to start at 0, and then maybe, I don't know, October going into Q4, you want to maybe get a little bit more aggressive. Not with $300, you're not going to be aggressive that much. Let's say $3,000. Again, it kind of gives you more of an idea. Again, just play with these numbers so it makes sense, and then again, utilize this and use this when you start to run on the platform. Simple as that. So you've got that there. How we calculate advertising spend, because again, it's becoming more of a pay-to-play platform, right? So again, we basically calculate this as a percentage of your, if you look here, as your GMV. So again, to be aggressive to begin with, if you're running ads here, this is basically saying that you're going to just basically just make a point. 50% basically is going to go into your ad spend. So again, you spend 1.25 on, you get 2.5 back. I know that's not the exact going to it. You will get some organic sales and obviously some more ads. But again, if you kind of think of that as like kind of a sweet spot, then again, you're going to probably have a spillover of stuff that's going to be coming from organic as well from that side of things. So 50% to begin with. And again, you can just tweak this later on. I think it drops down to 25%, which starts to get a little bit of traction. But again, just be aggressive to begin with. And then you've got your marketing cost here, which again, obviously then just works out to be the total of the sample cost and advertising, all that good stuff there. So with that being said, then we go into the ROAS section. So with the ROAS, this is basically kind of breaks down in terms of obviously what you're making. So in this instance, if we keep all the numbers the same and similar as it is here, you can see that you're not breaking even till you get to November, which is basically 5 months. But you're good past breaking even, you're actually at 1.73 overall. So we're not talking about ROAS, we're talking about once we break down all your spend, you are at 1.7 ROAS, okay? Sounds good. So that's your ROAS. Then you have the halo wheels added in here in terms of like 10%, 20%, 50%. Because again, if you are on Amazon, if you are on in retail, if you are on D2C, forget that one, then you will have that halo effect. We also sometimes add in like an LTV if you can, your brand has subscription stuff like that as well to kind of factor that side in as well. But if this is my brand here, I'm looking, okay, at least I know by the time I get to here, so like I said to you before, all my costs are 17K, but I know I'm going to be pretty much breaking even here. Well, not pretty much, but kind of breaking even. And then here, boom, this is where it starts to pick up and it starts to scale from here. Starts to make sense. So you can see bleak and it picks up. So again, this obviously just works out to be just the average of obviously your sales divided by your marketing costs. So again, overall in a year, you actually will make free ROAS on everything. So again, to me, if I'm a brand, I see these numbers. If I can invest all this money here and get a 3.7 free ROAS at the end of it, after all my costs, and again, like I say, not every cost is in here because again, we're not put shipping and stuff, but majority of the cost, then that is a win for me. So again, once you start to see this in black and white, it makes it a lot more clearer for you to make decisions and start to run TikTok Shop and know that if you're hitting your goals, if not, what needs to be pulled back or what needs to be tweaked, okay? So that's kind of how that looks. Now I'm going to show you in terms of how we kind of work out in terms of that growth month on month for your brand. So like I say, 100 is kind of the sweet spot to begin with. Then from then onwards, it depends when you're running this, because again, obviously you want to change the dates depending on when you're running. So right now, recording this, it's July, so if you're starting right now, it's unfortunate to a degree because if you start a bit 3 months before, you'll be hitting the deals for you days, which again, you'll be able to scale and get quite a lot of traction from that side of things. So you're not, it's a shame. So we kind of start on this blank canvas here. And then what we kind of say is basically, look, from month 1 to 2, you're probably going to get a 20% increase. Doesn't seem like a lot, but it's the next 20 sales, right? So you've got 2.5K to 3K. And then again, nothing is linear, but again, this is where you start to see the momentum going. So September, again, look at your kind of data in terms of on your Amazon, your D2C, because again, some brands going to Q4 is going to be great. Some brands, it might be quiet, and obviously January for health brands might be a little bit busy. So again, just use some kind of metrics there. And again, if you need support or any more guidance on a category basis, then again, reach out, I can kind of point in the right direction. But again, you're just kind of looking in terms of what the lift is going to be. So again, September, in this instance, 1.4. And then again, it's based on Q4. We're next going to probably jump up. And this again is based on our data and what we did last year, knowing on the platform. So again, 1.5 jumping into October is pretty okay-ish because again, obviously this is build up into getting to November and November Q4. So again, kind of like forecast for 1.8, so 80% increase. And then again, 80% from then onwards. So again, that may look massive, but when it comes to TikTok Shop, them numbers are quite conservative. So again, you can start to see the growth happening. And I think in this instance here, I think I've kind of made this as like a health brand because again, I picked up a little bit there. But again, you can probably still see like continual growth month on month. And then again, you can see here, it maybe slows down a little bit there depending on your brand. So again, just put the numbers in terms of what you think. And again, I feel like obviously Black Friday was there and then maybe there's another month here in terms of when the next kind of campaign is. So again, just use that to your advantage. And then, like I say, once you get more data, you can start to tweak your forecast. So again, don't just set this forecast up once and leave it. Keep tweaking it. The forecast doesn't need to be forever. Have tab 1 in terms of your overall one and then keep tweaking it because again, you might see your AOV drop, it might go up, it might change, you might have different samples you want to add in. So this forecast should always be a working document that you kind of look back and use as your roadmap, right? You don't get in the car and try and get to somewhere you've not been before, putting on Waze or open up a map or Google Maps, right? You need to kind of see where you're going. And this kind of breaks it down and gives you that as basically a roadmap. Yeah, simple as that for it. So again, like I say, this is not 100% perfect. I don't think any forecast in TikTok Shop is right now. Again, we're always tweaking it. So again, if any updates come along, we'll let you know. It's like I say, to make sure, let's say if you do want this, take a screenshot, but even easier, I've literally got this down below for you. So again, download this, use this to your advantage. And again, drop me a message on either the comments, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, or jump on a call. Happy to run through this in more depth specific to your brand, your category, and your budget. Because again, some brands, it might not make sense. Some brands might be like, okay, look, our sample cost is, I don't know, $30, $30 for both. By the time we run 1, 2, 3, I can't count, that many months, it takes longer to get that because our samples are too expensive. Or again, you might want to be aggressive. So again, you might have your samples 10-10, but you might be aggressive, which again, aggressive is good. So say we want to do 500 samples, which again is a good number. Then again, you can see again, it starts with that. So again, just work with your numbers. Okay, that's all it's about. And again, like I say, some brands are happy to lose a bit of money. So again, if you want to be aggressive and you would say, okay, look, actually we need to bang out on content. So again, you do 10K for the first 3 months. Guess what? Again, because we know what happens when you do 10K per month. Guess what? In October, that's going to up probably 1.5. You're going to probably get traction. That's going to probably go to a 1 point, for example. And then again, it's going to continue to grow because you know you've got engine that you've moved in terms of spending 30K rather than obviously 0 on incentive. So again, all these numbers can be moved around. They can all be played. They can all be manipulated. But again, don't manipulate them that it's too far gone, because again, you don't want it to be like unrealistic in terms of, like, say if you send this to like your CFO or anyone on the team, stuff like that, you want to make it as realistic as possible. And like I say, 9 times out of 10, the more realistic you make it, you'll probably surpass that quite easily. So I hope all that makes sense. I hope this is useful. Again, let me know if this has helped you. If you know it can help someone else as well, share it with them, subscribe, do all the stuff below. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care.